with such a mix of styles. But let's get into it. We're starting off on the beautiful data C and in the bottom left. In the red, this is Rex.
And his opponent on the right side, the infamous Cheese Lord himself. It is, of course, the blue Protoss, Haas. Very standard gate scout so far for Haas, so it looks pretty standard for him to start off. Rex going hatch first, but Rex takes the third base despite it not being blocked. And that is always a little bit weird. I guess the argument is if it gets cannoned, at least he doesn't have ramp control over you. So we do see this meta evolve sometimes against the weird Protoss players where people are actually like, look, if I have to cancel it, I'm going to cancel the bad one and rebuild the better one in the natural. So it's an odd thing because obviously if Haas just macros up, it's worse.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, it's one of those things. You've got to be worried about the weird stuff he's going to throw your way.
Yeah, I feel like against a player like Haas, and in some, you know, we saw Mio Micah earlier in Oceania and rest of Asia. Sometimes you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I always am a fan of taking the precaution, especially this deep in the tournament. You just want to get it over and done with. You want to secure that playoff spot. You're not really in the mindset to take risks this early on. So so far so good. I mean, we haven't seen any forge dropped or anything, and Rex will get a bit of peace of mind as that overlord creeps into the natural there that everything is where it should be.
I think Haas is going to play his forge build this game. And the reason is he built his Nexus and Core both on 19 rather than 20 or even 21 some Protoss players have started doing recently. So it's slightly less economic. It just basically means his gas mining's a little bit slower, so he can't get a Stargate up at anything approximating a decent timing. But no, he's actually going Robo. Okay, so Stalker Warp Gate into Robotech. Interesting. See what Haas plans off of this. Now, I think it was a few years ago, Haas was very regularly doing an Immortal Slow Zealot all-in off this opening. And it's a crazy attack because it hits so fast. But no, he goes for the Forge. Okay, so it is the Forge build, just Robo first. Maybe gets a Prism and some Adepts out to harass.
Yeah, he is a player that often likes to utilize that Prism. He can hit quite early with it. He can just use it as a tool for the rest of the game. It's certainly one of his strong suits as a player, although it's hard to pinpoint which style he's best at because he mixes it up so much. But yeah, he's certainly had a fair go with this build before, sticking to what he knows in a sense as well. And we'll see if he can slow down Rex, who so far has a pretty normal Zerg opening here, apart from that forward natural. He's just droning up, getting a few lings on the field, getting those queens ramping in as well.
Twilight Council goes down there as well. Remember, you can get a very quick +2.
Yes.
That is so powerful. I mean, I remember when I think it was SOS a few years back, it did like the slowest 2-base all-in of all time with Immortal Charge Archon, and Solar just made like literally 180 supply of Roaches and Ravagers, and we're like, well, this isn't going to work, and he just killed him, and we're like, +2 is really good on Immortals and Archons, wow. Like, this is very surprising, okay. I really like the way Haas has played this style historically as well, because he'll like kind of take a third, and he'll attack you, and he'll probe a little bit, and you never know if he's going to explode into a complete all-in, or if he's just going to macro up. It's really hard to read when you should be building units, and it very smoothly transitions into his 2-gas double prism Immortal Charge Lot style, and that's where he can basically hit your main with Zealot Warpins, but then also have Sentry Immortal Charge Lot on the front. And microing 2 areas, it's usually doable for a player as good as Rex, but if you're then suddenly dealing with, you know, Zealots in 3 mineral lines, or Sentries force fielding your Roaches so you can't retreat when you're looking elsewhere, that's where things get really awkward. And you see Haas is just trying to make him uncomfortable. Looks like it's going to be a +1 Charge Zealot all-in attack. He is not building any probes or a third.
Oh no.
Oh, that is
goodness.
huge. He's meant to be warping in Zealots like on the front very soon. This ruins this push.
Yeah, he's going to try and get another Warp Prism out real quick. And that's actually one of the few times we've seen Haas visibly react in the player cam there to a loss.
Yeah.
He knows how bad that was. Gateways are finishing up, and that prism's almost here, but certainly there's gonna be a delay here that he's not gonna be too thrilled with. This gives Rex that much more time to get those roaches out. Baneling Nest will be finished by the time he gets across the map now, and he'll certainly have some lings in tow too.
Yeah, roaches and banelings. I mean, this is overzealous on the tech, I would say, and this is how I feel Rex sometimes plays versus us. Is he really wants all the counters ready? I think just more roaches and ravages would be far more optimal than trying to get banelings for the zealots here. We'll see if it works. Doesn't have those banelings ready yet, but they will be soon. He hits a bit of a supply block on 98 as well. You can see he's been traumatized playing Haas in the past, and he's a bit panicked, a bit nervous, making mechanical mistakes, which is going to make defending this a bit harder.
Haas gonna move forward here, try and find an angle, but Zealots run directly into those Banelings. And the Roaches, Spines, and Queens are going to make that a really rough spot for Haas to try and engage into. Immortal is going to do some serious work on the back line, but it's just the one. More units getting taken out on the front line here, and he needs another warp in there to sort of fortify that front position. He is actually starting to hack through some of this now, but the Zealots are having such a tough time at staying alive.
Yeah, no, that is a beautiful hold. I mean, a 15 worker advantage, more Queens, Roaches, and Lings all on the way right now. Rex is only on hatch tech. This is somewhere where Haas has got him in trouble in the past when he shows an all-in like this. And then he's like, he realizes it's going to get stopped because Rex's scouting is so good. But then he just walks in with DTs. Like, he's actually been secretly building DTs behind it.
Yeah.
So that's a situation where, I don't know, does Rex have any spores? Maybe if we check the structures tab, we could check that real quick. But yeah, that's one of the things where he's got only one spore. He's building spores. He's thinking about it because he's lost to that before. He's like, not again. No, this game is mine.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Invisible Man Clubhouse. We've all been stung by it before, I'm sure. And that War Prism's going to head into the main, but the Queens are chasing it down. Zealots hot on their heels, though, and we have a wall off at the front. There are some Lings try to get into Haas's base at the same time. So a few little skirmishes happening out on the map at the moment. We have a couple of probes coming back into production now, but 5 more Zealots being warped into the main. Probably not going to have too much luck as there's a lot of Roaches here, but he can pick up and just keep poking around with that War Prism.
You know, in his game versus Lemon yesterday, Haas overcommitted. He kind of committed to a really simple attack. It got scouted, it got foretold, and he just kept going, right? With the Zealots, a big charge lot all in. And even though he'd had a bit of a rough start to the game, it did feel like, hey, surely that's not the way to finish it off. Once again here, feels like he's taken a long time to transition out of this, really trying to force the issue. Whereas last season, part of what he beat Rex with was like, I remember he had all-ins that were stopped in their tracks and he just treaded water off the edge of creep, not trading units, but scaring him, picking units off here and there and just being really careful, and then transition into a long game and a victory with like disruptors and stuff. And Rex was pretty shattered by those games because he was ahead in them and he let them slip away, and he was really annoyed at the fact that he let that happen. But this time around, it feels like he's got the game on lockdown. He's got Lings counterattacking. He's up to 60 drones. He's got roach speed on the way. Haas is still pinned back on 2 bases. The +2 all-in we talked about earlier looks like it'll come across the map, but the numbers are ridiculously in the Zerg favor.
Yeah, Haas just hitting his own supply block here now as well as he harasses and tries to keep building up a little bit. Head into those upgrades as well, but yeah, he hasn't really been able to find too much of an angle here, and he's just been chilling on those 2 bases. He's now sort of venturing out a little bit, but Rex's units are keeping tabs on those movements of the army.
Ooh.
And oh man, he just can't get in here with this War Prism.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, after years of getting bullied by Haas, Rex seems to have all the answers in this game. At least he's ready for every single move because it's happened to him so many times before. And these Ling run buys as well, just kind of making sure more warp-ins happen at home. Probably should pull those Lings back, but either way, they've kind of done the job. Archon Immortal Zealot, not a bad attack, but I don't really see it finding the mark. Not against Bane Speed and Roach Speed.
Lings are going to continue poking back and forwards at that natural. Is going to find the rest of the army here as it swings around the top side of the map. We do have the Warp Prism doing some extra weapons here. We've got some Archons morphing in as well, but Rex still churning out these units. Bane Speed is not far off. The Warp Prism just out of vision of that Overlord there, as Insano shows us. So Not too sure if he knows about banking up all these units here, but he
Oh,
definitely saw
wow.
them traveling there.
Three prongs. So he's going to go Zealots in the main plus Warp in, Zealots on the right, and Zealot Archon there. But once again, the Queens and Spores push him out. The Roach Bane catches that side, and he was trying to set up a surround and a bit of a flank. Instead, he ends up getting pummeled. Loses the Prism again! Oh, great snipe from Rex. Pulls the drones back. Hasn't taken any damage yet. And the Banelings roll in. Haas has got nothing for him.
GG, what a beautiful game from Rex, man. Really well done. It's rare that we see Haas stopped at every turn like that.
Very beautiful play there by Rex. It's been a hot minute, you know, since he was able to smash Haas in a game like that. So very cool to see. Definitely a big confidence booster. All that hard work in career paying off. He stayed very safe right from the start. You know, good queen count, very good Zergling count. The positioning, the scouting was there. Haas definitely running into a brick wall in game one.
Yeah, very interesting turn of events. We'll see if our prediction that Rex might come out on top will hold true. But first, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, game number 2. And we're back for more StarCraft 2 action. It is Haas versus Rex. We are mid-series. This is a decided to see who is going to come out of the group in first place. Will it be a bit of a shake-up with Rex coming out on top, or will Haas reign supreme once again, as the stats suggest he may? So far, so good for Rex, though, Pig.
Indeed, this has been a fantastic start to him. I really like it as well. It just feels like I always worry that he stays a bit too low on the work account early on, but this time, the moment he stopped the first harassment, he was like, bam, straight to 50 workers, then make the roaches and the banelings get ready to hold on against that push. It was really very well done.
Yeah, awesome play from Rex, and if he can keep that up, then there might be some truth to this story that he's really gotten something out of the Korean practice, and if we get a chance to chat to him, certainly we can ask him about that and how he's found that experience. But it's not over yet for Haas. He's got a zillion and one tricks up his sleeve. He's a veteran, so
Yeah.
he may very well still come out on top here. But I have to say, one of the things that gives me some faith that Rex might actually do it is that Haas has looked a little mortal recently. I mean, these guys faced previously in the Home Story Cup qualifiers, and Rex came out on top there. So that's the most recent result until now in the tournament circuit, and I do wonder if that spells doom for Haas here, but he is such a formidable player that we can't count him out. This is the man up here in the top left. He's in the blue. Can he even the score here and get out of the group? It is Haas.
Down a game, and gas first, no scout on the shortest rush distance in the map pool. Disgusting greed and a very good build order. We'll see down here in the bottom right, not punishing it, just going for a hatch first. Let's see if he can repeat the success from the last game. Representing Onside Gaming, it is Rex. Teammates with Maru and Neeb, Solar as well. But of course, Crank and Gemini on their social media and coaching staff. So good on them, kind of being such a great organization, and I loved seeing them supporting Rex. Training in Korea, getting better, and steadily improving. Going to be interesting though, because Haas, I think, has said, okay, that didn't work out. Let's just be super greedy to start off this game. I do wonder, will we see a classic build potentially? I feel like at this point, Haas needs to go deep into his bag of tricks. You know what we haven't seen in a while? Double Stargate Oracle.
Oh, goodness. Oh, don't do it to me. I'm getting flashbacks. Yeah, wasn't that an era in StarCraft 2? Whew,
Come on, Haas. Bring us those 2018 strats. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, that would be heaps fun. That's a strategy that does so well randomly because people forget about it, I guess, and then when it arrives, like, oh no, wait, what do I do against this? So yeah, I mean, maybe that could be one way to go, but so far we're going to see that cheeky little robo slide down there.
Yeah, you forget just how quickly even like hatcheries and spores and everything disappears to Oracle lasers. It's crazy. Deleted. They attack so fast. Haas is going robo again. His probe is hiding in the back, which is very curious. He's going to hide something back there.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Rek's going to work on the rocks here a little bit, but focus his attention on that adept shade. He isn't going to commit to any harassment in there with that shade, though. Just poking in, having a little look around. He's just going to posture out the front as well and see if Rex might have been sending anything out there. But otherwise, let's see what he's going to drop back here in the secret location. It is a Twilight.
The Overlord didn't see the probe moving in and out, so no reason for him to poke any deeper. Normally you leave that Overlord there just to spot when the third Nexus goes down. So there was a build, it was a Stalker drop into DTs, because nobody expects DTs when they're dealing with a couple Stalkers picking off their Overlords, and then you just like randomly kill the Overlord to deny their vision, and you just siege up the Prism outside their base, warp in DTs, and you'd often catch a Zerg being greedy. I don't know if that's the case here, but there we go. DT Shrine does go down, and his Prism's out, so we'll see what he puts inside that. He's going to have to warp in some gateway units, probably on the front, maybe just 2 Adepts.
Nice scouting from Rex. He's already seen the prism and he's tagging that with his lings. So the prism actually turns around for a sec before heading back out across the map. There we go. He picks up a couple of units there and he's going to head out and see what he can get done. But Rex at least has the knowledge that that's on its way. We see spores in each base and we see a bunch of lings coming out to help with the defense too. Otherwise, still droning. He's got queens coming out here as well, so they can always help with the prism. And let's see if Haas can actually get any damage done with these first couple of
Ooh,
adepts.
very nice. Oh, nice ball trick though for Rex. Does save that one. Zealot will go down in the wall. Good moves by those Zerglings. Stalker's busy in the main cleaning up an Overlord. You'll have to bring that back down. Careful there, Haas. Does get it out of trouble for now. Seeing that there's spores already up on these bases, definitely going to be something that makes him think twice about showing his hand on the Dark Templar. He might just warp in Archons and do an Archon drop.
Yeah, absolutely a possibility. And the Overlord there getting tickled on the left-hand side of the base. Won't quite be able to kill it, but nice positioning from Rex. Obviously, that gives you visibility of the gas timings as well there at the natural. So he can have a pretty good idea of what Haas's tech might be looking like here. We've got the Adepts now being dropped off into the main. They might get one drone if they're lucky, but again, Rex defensively doing quite well.
Haas is going Forge and for the charge behind this, yeah, choosing to just not use the DT Shrine. He cancelled it, and of course, and went Templar Archives now. So Haas is like, hey man, all right, just playing Immortal Charge Archon, but this time off a similar economy to the Zerg. The Lair is kicking in at a much quicker time though, so I like the adjustment for Rex. Got Roach Speed, more creep this game as well. These are all things that will put him in a good position to deal with the madness of Haas. These Adepts should not be committing, and then he's going to do it. Crazy. Managed to grab a drone and gets out. Good micro for Haas. Hasn't found big pickoffs though.
No, but over time, he generally does tend to eventually find a gap in the defense and start doing some damage. So it's great to see him maintaining his activity on the map with that Warp Prism, poking in and out, and just making sure he knows not only what Rex is doing, but seeing if he can find, you know, a distraction here or there, pick up a worker kill. Likewise, Rex is trying to see what Haas is up to, where the tech's headed, so that he can adjust his army accordingly. And with this Ling out the front, he'll see that a fourth Nexus is on the menu.
Wow, 4-base Charge Lord Archon Immortal. Very, very big style for Haas. And he does stop those Zerglings getting into his base. Evo Chamber is on the way for Rex. Rex has got a pretty good army out on the map. Continuing to scout, of course, does not want to get surprised by Haas's crazy tech switches. No Baneling tech this time around. And will it be, I would imagine it's got to be a range upgrade when you've got so much Roach Ravager. So good choice for Rex as the 4th base goes down. A Muta transition would be game destroying. Like, it would just ruin Haas. He's got nothing that shoots up. He's got no blink. He's got no Stargate. Like, he just cannot respond to a Muta switch. So if Rex wanted to, he could do that, but I think he's so focused on Roach Ravager. I think he expects Haas to attack into him.
Nice little run by here. He's actually going to pick up some workers. The Zealots are here, but he's targeting down the probes very nicely. 7 go down. That was a nice pickup from Rex.
And Biles the army, knocks his shields off the Immortals, kills, I think, a Stalker as well. There is a Prism on the bottom. The Queens are there. Once again, he's not letting that Prism into his base. Oh, normally, this is how Haas wins games. He scares you on one side with the Immortals and the Zealots there. He has a big Zealot warp in, an Archon warp in your main. And suddenly, it's a nightmare to deal with. But, oh, he catches the Immortals! Rex with a game-winning move, potentially. Haas does quickly micro off to that right side, but Biles landing on the Archons. Great moves here for Rex, but he's caught a little bit out in the open. He's going to have to get home. Nice Biles, though, to zone out this army. Takes out one of the Adepts that's chasing him. And Haas on the warpath, chasing after him. Going into the Robo Bay. Wants to get Disruptors up behind this. The Prism is still sieged up outside the base. Zealots are roaming all over. Equal workers, 62 versus 62. Feels like Rex is just going to do a giant maxed out Roach Ravager shove. He doesn't have any other tech. And with that +1 finishing in about 20 seconds, I think he wants to go and kill him right now.
Who doesn't love a good mass Roach build? Oh, Maybe Haas won't love it in a second here, but he handled that little mess around with the Immortals quite well. Never fun as a Zerg to have to micro off creep, but he's starting to position for this big attack. Some roaches are going to get into the natural, the Zealot, allowing them through the door, so more workers are going to go down there, and this gives Rex the chance to move up where he wants to be. On top of this ramp, he piles down on those batteries, and this is a lot of Zerg, Pig.
Wow, the battery overcharge just gets sniped there. The Roach run by on the left, allowing a huge position. The Disruptor's very dangerous though. Rex, with mad respect for that Disruptor, pulls right on back. I think the Roaches that went in the base did mostly get cleaned up by those Zealots. The Roach Ravager still roaming around. He's almost max versus 130 supply Haas. The Zealots going to be able to kill his fourth base. That's a good move. Oh, so close. He's trying to surround.
He does get it.
Watch out for the Disruptor shot, though, on the front. That could be huge. Haas is holding it back. He's waiting for the prime moment. He throws it. Gets about 2 or 3 Roaches. Maybe not as big as he needed. The Zealots get a good angle on some of the Roaches, but there's more and more coming in. Where that came from. Another Disruptor joins up.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. That was a juicy hit. And he's going to keep microing here and trying to trade, but I think Haas might actually have this. The charge lots are getting right on top of that line of Roaches. There's more coming, but they've still got a little bit of a ways to run to join up. And Rex is going to change direction, head into that probe line while the other Roaches handle the front line units here. The Archon is going to go down, and suddenly there's actually nothing in front of these Disruptors and Immortals. Another Zealot warp in coming in. And Rex doesn't have a huge amount of Roaches left, but he has done 15 probes worth of damage.
Yeah, I think this was good trades for Rex. He's still up 6 workers. I mean, he wants to get rid of the base, though. Now that the Disruptors are out, if the game goes on, he needs to swap to Mutas. If he swaps to Mutas from here, I still think it's a game in his favor. But right now, he's trying to finish him off. The Disruptors are so low. Both Disruptors get focused down. Great snipes there for Rex. But he's got to pull back. Trickling into charge Zealots is never good. Zealots and Immortals are going to slay individual Roaches, and the supply is dangerously close. So Rex, I don't know if that was an overextension or not, but losing his fourth behind it, it definitely felt like he was maybe a little bit too all in. I would have loved to see him continuing to do run-bys in the natural. It felt like Haas was barely hanging on simply because the Roaches were all attacking on one side. There goes another Ling run-by on the natural, finds the mineral line. Very nice moves, but the Disruptors!
Oh man, yeah, that's gonna put an end to that. I mean, I can't blame Rex for wanting to keep coming in here with more Roaches because you're so close. You can almost taste the victory there, and it's really hard to let go of that endless Roach push when you've sunk so much into it, but he's just got to let it go now. I mean, that's a beefy little ball of Protoss. The Lings are going to try and get some added value in here, which is really nice. If nothing else, it's a distraction, maybe an extra probe kill or 2. But Rex does have to sort of get himself set back up at home. That 4th hatchery is about halfway done again.
I mean, Haas has a very simple army, but it's the perfect army for dealing with just Roach Ravager Ling. I mean, Rex army is just nothing. It's too basic at this point. It's countered by this Immortal Archon Disruptor Ball, and I think Haas has survived the most dangerous part of the game. Even though the Roach Ravager focus fire is good on those Disruptors, not quite enough to finish it. Oh, the red hit point Disruptor connects. Another one does drop down, lands a big hit on the Queens. And this is Haas out with a vengeance, chasing the Zerg player down. Archons, Immortals, Zealots, and Disruptors charging in on top of everything. The Disruptors do straggle forwards and get themselves killed, but the supply tells a story.
Down, but not out. Haas evens up the score to a 1-1 here. Very nicely done. And Rex looking for the aggression there, looking to close things out with a 2-0. Not quite able to do it.
Yeah, very good hold there by Haas, and I like that he switched gears. Game 1 was a really vicious all-in that was held with poise and great execution, so he said, okay, play the 4 base, play onwards from there. Still wasn't able to really find much with the Warp Prism. I mean, Rex's Warp Prism defense has just been out of this world. But we find ourselves going to that game 3. These Ling run-bys just constantly getting in there. They found a lot of damage. This one was really crucial.
Nice moment here for Rex to snipe at Immortal, and he tried to capitalize on some extra kills here, but being off creep, being chased down by charge lots made that a little bit difficult. And so he was really banking on this big punch here with all these Roaches and Ravagers.
Yeah, it was amazing that those Immortals survived as long as they did. They were just the MVPs of this. The Disruptors didn't actually do as much as the Immortals. Those 2 Immortals, like, this is just like minutes apart, right? All these clips, and yet the 2 Immortals are still there at the end of the day. Would have been cool if we actually got a kill count on them, because I'm sure they were both in the 15 to 20 kill range.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a testament as well to Haas's Warp Prism micro. He has had a couple of little dodgy moments with the Warp Prisms, but when he is on, when he is macroing to save his own life in these situations, he is absolutely a monster. He does so well and he gets the maximum longevity out of those units. So that's definitely one thing that I've noticed over the seasons with Haas's play. The War Prism is often the key to all his victories. But as you pointed out, Pig, Rex has actually done a pretty good job at keeping those away, at sniping them, at generally just shutting them down, like just not letting them even get near the bases.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the way he's got the openings on lockdown, the overseers flying in and out of the main base going, what are you doing? What are you doing? So he's got the warning ahead of time at every single point. I don't mind that Roach Ravager shove, but yeah, I do think if the tail end of that, he was just rallying Zerglings in and started building a Spire at some point during the push, I do feel that Rex could have checkmated him, because even just imagine like 6 or 7 mutas flying into past his natural. He's got like 2 Immortals, a Disruptor, 6 Zealots, and an Archon or something after that push. Mutas are going to force Stalker Warpins. You go back to your Roach Ravager Ling army, and that's going to do very well up against an army that's mostly made of like Stalkers. You force them to build cannons and batteries everywhere. You kill a lot of probes. So I would have liked to see Rex stay flexible on the tech there, because you see that Haas is a guy who always has a glaring weak spot, because he's such a kind of cheesy player. Even when he plays a macro game, he does it in a way where he's completely skipping safety mechanisms that normal players do. In PvT, he'll go 2-gate blink, 3rd base, 4th base, no robo, no detection, right? For a very long time. He'll go like, there's always something that he's cutting. In this case, it was the fact that he didn't actually have that much scouting. There was no sentries for hallucination beyond the prism harass. So he couldn't spot a Spire coming his way, and he also had no Stargate and no safety blink, whereas a lot of players playing this style will get blink just in case, build a few cannons and batteries. Haas did none of that.
Yeah, he's certainly the kind of player to risk it for the biscuit. We've seen it time and time again. So let's see if he takes any more risks here on Waterfall to close this series out and get out of the group. In the top right, in the blue, this is Haas.
Gas first again, greedy boy. Good choice. Apparently has his opponent's number. Going for the hatchery first. Once again here, he's been solid as a rock so far in this series. Let's see if he can finish it off. It's Onside Gaming's Rex.
Oh. Being a map that, again, has a bit of a shorter rush distance compared to the others, do you think that Rex would try for a more aggressive move here again?
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty wide open spaces. The 3rd base locations do have some good space on them. So I definitely think it could work. I feel like, if we were to see Stargate, Queen Walk is the most underused move these days. People are like, but you can't transfuse. And it's like, yeah, but no one builds Void Rays. They only have 2 Oracles. So 3 Queens beat 2 Oracles. You don't even need transfuse. I do think that's underused. But so far, we haven't seen Stargate from Haas. I mean, I once again would call for the double Stargate Oracle, the crazy switch up. Seems like he's very confident, though, with the robo openings right now, right? That prism seems to be his comfort zone early on. Just give me 2 adepts and a prism. I'll get charge. I'll go up into the, into that composition. And he seems like he just wants to win with that.
Yeah, it's definitely a comfortable place for Haas to play from. It's certainly not feeling like, ooh, this is really not working for me. I need to switch it up. So fair enough that he just sticks with the usual robo play that he's so familiar with and so happy to pull out. And Rex looks like he might be looking towards that 3rd hatchery here, and it's another calm opening from him as well. We'll just keep an eye on where the tech goes from here, and if he's going to try and put any hurt on Haas earlier on in the game. Because still, like, as cheesy as Haas can be, as you mentioned, with the corner cutting and stuff, if he gets away with it, he's actually really scary in the late game as well. So I don't know if you want to play a long game against him either.
Yeah, it can get really nasty, definitely. I mean, there's that flexibility that does come in to punish you sometimes. Well, Forge is on the way again, so very similar opening for Haas. Observer first this time around, so he wants to get a bit of vision, probably take out the Overlord on his pillar as well. Twilight Council going down after that one. Dept is just scouting across this side of the map. That's a good pack of Zerglings, though. That's going to shut this Adept down. So here, a bit too long. Link speed's about to kick in.
Uh-oh. You can shade away. We do have a couple of Lings, I think, following the shade, but yeah. He does lose that Adept, and the Lings can now scatter around the map. Maybe park one at a couple of those bases, or at least leave him out the front and see what might be leaving the base. Last time, he did really well in identifying that the Warp Prism had popped out, and so he was really well prepared for that. And yeah, so we'll see how he goes here. We've got the Roach Warren coming down, and Haas starting to get some of that tech in.
Overlord going into the main here. Zealot's going to warp it in the front of that wall to try and deal with those Zerglings, but Zerglings do get the first hits while they're warping in. And they're thinking about fighting it, but with the Warp Prism, they're not going to be able to. Overlord gets a full scout here. Robo, Forge, Twilight, the full complement of ground tech. Rex building about 1 billion Overlords right now. That is a crazy number of Overlords, which it either says he's mismacroed or he's planning to do a big push, and it turns out it was mismacro maybe. Overbuilding those just a little bit. Not the end of the world. Always better to, you know, build extra Overlords than to get supply blocked. Definitely the supply block is the much worse of those. DT Shrine and 4 more gateways go down. I mean, absolutely insane play. It feels so inefficient to commit to DT Archons and charge lots off just 39 workers. It's a very confusing build order that he's going for here for Haas. Got the Zealot pressure on the right side. Rex is at 46 drones, 49, and he's actually now going into Roach production. It feels like he's weighted things up perfectly. He masses Roaches from here. I think Rex is well prepared.
Certainly. It is a kind of bit of everything. Charge, Immortals, DT. We've got the +1 kicking in soon. So is there going to be a third Nexus pop down here? Are we going to see some more aggression? He's sort of left that spot with the Warp Prism now, realizing there's actually a fair bit of stuff here. He's maybe going to try and find a different angle to warp in a little bit more.
Wow, he's going to go for a big Zealot warp in on the front. Rex was quite greedy, going up to 54 drones, trying to build Roaches and Zerglings right now. Doesn't have it all up. Oh, this is just to clear up the creep to prepare for the Immortal and whatnot coming across the map a bit later. Very cute play by Haas. So he's getting himself DTs on the front. He's going to start making Archons, I would imagine, with that. DTs are actually going to try and run into the base. Crazy build here for Haas. I don't know if this is going to work. It's a lot of Roaches and Lings. Zealots pull back. The DTs do slide on by. Is there detection up? Oh, no. No Spore Crawlers. No Overseers, mate. He didn't see the blur. A very surprising timing for Dark Templar to walk in. A huge gamble, but Haas, he loves to roll the dice, and this one seems to have paid off.
Beautifully done. That number is going to climb a little bit too, I'd wager. If nothing else, he's losing a lot of mining time as well because he's just sort of made the drones swap mineral lines while he tries to sort this out. We do have the Overseers here, and the Zealots are going to try and find a spot to go. First, going to trade with some Zerglings though. So what's the next step for Haas here though? Because he's continuing to make mortals. We're still not seeing any extra gas or bases. He's just sort of going for a bit more harassment here and making a few more units.
I think there's a kill move coming up very soon. I mean, there's a bunch of Immortals that have been built. A lot of good stuff going for Haas. All the drones had to be rebuilt here for Rex. Rex is losing another queen. He's lost so much mining time. I mean, the income has been so far ahead for Haas for the last minute. So even though this was such a crazy low economy all-in attack, the DTs have killed 22 workers. It's just wild. And you know what's so insane? DTs made no sense from the situation he was in. And that's why it makes sense, because Rex discounted it as an option. He's like, there's no reason why you would go DTs that late when I've scouted everything that you're doing. And that's exactly why it caught him off guard. A giant attack comes in. Zealots on the natural. Zealot Immortal at the front distracting. Absolutely ripping Rex apart.
Yeah, immense damage here. I mean, Haas. Oh, what a god, honestly. He comes in with another Zealot warp in. One of those Immortals does go down, but he's still tearing it up now in the main base. The Roaches are sort of running after them, but not able to be on two fronts at once because there's just not enough stuff. He's got 24 workers, and that number is going to keep dropping as he's forced to sort of chase this around. He's clinging on for dear life because, of course, he'd love to get out of the group in first place here, but it is really looking dire.
Dude, Haas is such a beast. I mean, he has that game sense. He's like, no, if I just warp in a bunch of zealots on the front, with what you've seen, with how late these DTs are, I mean, sometimes the North American timing 2 minutes late on the DTs is the one you least expect. And Haas is a genius. He's got that sixth sense. He's got that special part of his brain that's always calculating what is going to be surprising my opponent right now. What is the least expected thing? He's so good at figuring that out. That's exactly what he did here. Rex, it's the sort of game that throws you off. You played correctly. You did a lot of things logically. You didn't notice the blur of those DTs walking in. Just a single safety spore crawler in the front of the natural would have changed everything. It's such a small thing, but easy to forget in the